Hello, everyone. This is Saima, and today I'm here to talk about the mind body connection. And I'm so excited to be here because quite a few of you in the group said that you'd like to know more about the mind body connection. So I'm here with Mimsy, and just to share a few of the things. There's some things that you may know already, there's some things that may be new. So I would love to get your feedback and comments as soon as possible. So, what's the mind body connection? So, most of us, like all of us really, grow up with the idea that the mind is inside the body. So, there's this sort of container, and it has this brain, and it has all these various things inside the container. Okay, when you start to work with the mind body connection, you flip that understanding over and you start to see this kind of very strange and esoteric thing, which is that the body is in the mind. And we start to feel or understand that our body actually has a profound connection to everything around us. When you think about it, this holistic idea actually makes a ton of sense because whatever the body is all the foods that we eat. All the thoughts that we think are also affecting our body. And so here's an idea. For example, if you're thinking really positive thoughts all the time, it's going to help your body to relax more. It's going to help your body feel more energetic. If you're thinking lots of negative thoughts or sad thoughts, it's going to make your body want to just stay safe and kind of hide, because it's not going to feel good about going out. And so you might start to feel not wanting to go out. Now, why is that so? Well, it's so because we have brain cells not just in our brain, but in our heart, in our stomach, in our intestines, and throughout our spine. And I'm going to actually move Mimsy over, who's also listening with some interest. And here is a little diagram actually. It's just, you don't have to go into a lot of details except just to understand that we have a central nervous system, which is our brain and our spinal cord. And this is from Khan Academy. So, this is just basic, raw, physiological, biological science here. We've got a central nervous system with the brain and the spinal cord, and we've got a ton of nerves that are going through our entire body, and which is our peripheral nervous system. So it's everywhere. The mind is everywhere in the body, and the body is everywhere in the mind. Now, what does that mean? That is the mind body connection. Our experience of the body, our sensations that we feel in the body is the mind body connection. We can tune in to different sensations arising from the body and have epiphanies of realization, because every sensation actually connects with an emotion that is being held both at the cellular level in the body, and also something that is actually in our energy field if we think about it. And when we talk about energy field, it includes the small motor responses, the non-verbal cues. And now we've got research coming out that's talking about energy entrainment, meaning that when we're anxious and upset, it can affect up to 10,000 people. Okay, so there's some kind of interesting studies and raw stuff that's actually kind of talking about these things as well. About the idea of entrainment, meaning that we actually have an influence over the world because of the feelings and thoughts that we are having, that we are holding in our body. Now, this is not a new idea. This has been part of our spiritual traditional cultures for many, many centuries. It's what is known as kind of, pagan knowledge. It's embedded in our, the understanding that people had who were very close to the land, who were very close to the physical experience of being alive. And so this is not a super new idea. It's actually an old idea that's been translated into our understanding of how the mind and body and how we work now, which makes it super cool. Okay, so let's start. Mimsy, can you sit down, please? Yes. So let's make this more of an intuitive and in true kinesthetic spirit. Like, let's get into the body for a moment here. And just think of, hugging a pet, your cat, your dog, or just playing with Mimsy. Like, I've got Mimsy here. So, just looking at her makes my body feel better. Just hugging her comforts my body. You know how we give, children little toys, stuffed toys to hug them and to comfort them. And what we're doing is we're reassuring the animal body that we are, that everything's okay, that we are hugged, that we are loved, we are cared for. Oh, look at Mimsy glow with that. Oh. Okay, so you as empaths probably felt that, right away. That was a genuine emotion. And this is what we're able to do across a video. Okay, so, you know, now, for those of you who are empathic, your mind body connection has been formed quite, in the sense that you start to get feedback from your body. You're okay to get feedback from your body. Some of us, actually, because of a coping need for coping, that could be one reason. And the second could be that we don't have as much of a sensitivity. That's just genetic, actually. And we have disconnected from the information coming from the body. So the information that's coming from the body is not from here. This is the prefrontal cortex. It's the executive command and control center. This is that rational mind. Anybody watch Star Trek, it's Spock. Spock in action is this guy. But have you noticed how Spock's data was very sort of cold and kind of not very deep? And then there was Jean-Luc Picard, who the captain of the ship. And the captain of the ship would take into consideration the feelings from their psychic empath on board. And he would take in what's going on from the doctor on board. And he would take in what's going on from that most passionate person on the ship, which is his second mate, and then make an integrated decision. One of my favorite characters. And an inspiration, always. Like, I look for that in leaders, and I tried my best to be that kind of a leader. Anyway, so here we are with this awesome understanding that we are not just our thoughts, we are actually a whole lot of other things that we are not all the time aware of. So, how can we build our mind-body connection and our knowledge around it? Well, that's exactly one of the things that we'll be doing on Holistic Happiness Academy, because I'll be launching a course on this topic as well. In the meanwhile, I want to actually encourage you to do a little research. If this is a topic you're a beginner in, or whether you've done a lot of research already, I do recommend a few books. They don't have to be books that you purchase necessarily, but just sort of get yourself acquainted with the ideas of the following, concepts, and that'll help you kind of if you decide to join the academy and take a course with me on this topic, which would be much more in depth. So we have number one, a person who kind of made this knowledge accessible to the rest of us is Louise Hay. Heal Your Body is an amazing little book that talks about the mental and mental causes for physical illness and the metaphysical way to overcome them. Now, that's where the idea that we are actually connected to something bigger than us, we're connected to plants, to animals, to other souls actually, who are there for us. That's again an aspect of the mind-body connection. So that's writing that I recommend. You can Google it and you can get up to speed on that if you haven't already become familiar. Even if you've forgotten this, I mean, I just love some of the affirmations she's got in there. The second stuff that I'm interested in and I refer to is actually by this lady called Lane Redmond, but there's a lot of them around, including Caroline Miss, including Anodia Judith, who is one of my favorites. And she writes about chakras, chakras as energy wheels and meditations around them. So if you can look up a chakra meditation, if you're interested in the mind body connection, chakra meditations or the concept of chakras has been used in Vedic cultures, Indian cultures for centuries in order to develop the neurons and the neural networks to enhance your mind body connection. Yep, that's right. It's a type of meditation, and meditation is one key way to enhance your mind body connection, but meditation on the body. So, body based meditations, which actually help you to delve deeper into the sensations of the body. And of course, mindfulness on body sensations would be a key practice. And if you would like to try that, even the breath meditation actually is a really good practice for that, to develop those that holistic sort of whole brain processing and encourage that to happen. I would really, really super recommend that you try out mindfulness. I have some tapes for mindfulness on Insight Timer. You can just download Insight Timer, the app, and just search Saima Shah in there. I'm obviously, like I'm just starting out on it, so I'm just adding stuff as I go along. The voice recording isn't perfect, but the energy is there, meaning that I myself was in that state. Now, I'm going to pause here and slow down a little bit. There's a lot I'm expressing in this video, so I want to stop a little bit and take it slower. The third book that I recommend is by Dr. Gabor Mate, MD, When the Body Says No. This was a huge, huge bestseller in Canada, and you don't have to absolutely buy the book. Just Google his name, and you'll get enough videos to get a sense of what he's actually saying. Now, what does that even mean? Okay, so that means that we have trauma in our body which creates our illness. Yes, that's correct. Let's just sit with that for a moment. Some of these conversations can be triggering. So, when we're talking about emotional health, we've all got all trauma. We're all dealing with stuff. And I encourage you to take a few deep breaths and let's just dispel some of this energy. Because it can be a little bit overwhelming to think of this. So people start to wonder, am I responsible for my illness? What did I do wrong? And I encourage you to back away from that and instead focus on something that you could do every day, which is kind, compassionate, and self nurturing towards your body. So many of us can have negative thoughts about our body when we're feeling down. Oh my goodness, we can feel overwhelmed. Oh my God, I don't have any energy to get up. For example, that thought. Or we'll have this thought that, oh dear, this is so, difficult. Like, if my body's feeling so overwhelmed, how am I going to cope? So all these are part of, our realization about both the power and the responsibility that it sort of, creates on us. Okay, so just go super gentle with yourself. You don't need to figure it all out today. Even if we go back with one tiny piece of compassion that we can hold towards our body, that's a great step forward. We do live in a world that is, I would say, quite harsh towards the body. We grow up in cultures that are actually quite harsh towards the body. We're either being criticized because of our body, or there is violence towards our body. Maybe not even physical, maybe just judgments that we grew up with about what we should look like. I definitely have trauma around that. So we all have layers and layers of trauma, right? So we want to go super gently in a very mindful and kind way as we explore the mind body connection. Um, so here is something again very, very interesting, is that we have a three-part brain. So when we have a trauma, the first response of the body can be to just freeze. So when the body is not feeling good, it's feeling threatened about its survival, it's going to get extremely exhausted, it's going to get very, very frozen. We can pass out as well. So when we experience trauma, that's very normal for the body to actually just go limp, and for us to kind of really just want to be, like cuddled up. And that's our self-protective response. The other response that we can have is to run. When we're faced with something that's very triggering and difficult for us, we want to run. Okay, we want to escape that situation. We want to go where something's peaceful, and that's also a physical and a traumatic response. And then the third thing that can happen is that we get easily triggered, we get very reactive, and we start to speak, angrily, or we start to yell or shout or cry and express our feelings. So there are, various levels. And then the fourth one that happens over time is that we start to really protect ourselves by pleasing everybody. We should just say, I know how you're feeling. Oh, it's okay. Come to me. Like I'll comfort you. We start to become very, very, protective of ourselves by being super, super nice to other people, just to sort of protect ourselves from any harshness from them. So now, one more thing that I think we do struggle with is our level of sensitivity. So we can be super hard on ourselves because we are sensitive enough to feel stuff. And that's another reason why we can actually stomp down what we're feeling into our body, because it's too overwhelming for us to realize how upset we actually feel. So we can just say, oh, it's all good, it's all fine, I don't really feel that. And we can kind of go into the point where we're sort of dissociating. We're sort of just not in the body, right? It's just sort of safer that way. So what happens is now the body at some level is not feeling good, it's just not feeling so happy. So it can do a few things. One of them is to hide away from people and to completely avoid contact, because contact is difficult when we are in that state of um, when there's trauma in the body. So it's just really super hard to be in contact with people. The other thing that can happen with us when we're holding trauma in the body is that we develop a sickness. We'll have body aches and pains. We will have headaches. We will have an intestinal trauma like IBS. We can have all kinds of, sicknesses like, acne breaking out. And that can be actually because of emotional trauma. So, when I refer to trauma, I actually just mean emotions. I am not talking really about food or diet or physical violence here. I'm talking about the mind body connection, because physical violence is going to leave some kind of imprint on your physical body, like hurt or pain or something like that, but that is actually going to pass and release. The imprint that actually stays in the emotional body is, far more of what I'm talking about. So again, there's this concept. We have a physical body and then we have an emotional body. So when we delve into the mind body connection, we realize, oh my goodness, there's layers of our experience. There's the emotional body, there is the astral body, which is our connection to everybody else. And so we have like a lot of interesting stuff going on there within the mind body connection. And of course, the Vedantic people had really kind of created a science around it. So what's one small thing that we can take away from the mind body connection is that we need the body to feel safe. And if the body is still holding on to trauma from the past, then you will struggle to feel safe, and you may actually shut that down because it's uncomfortable. But there are ways to actually bring it up and to release it. So, what kind of ways would really help? Any meditation approach, would be helpful. And so, when I speak of meditation, I'm not talking of prayer necessarily. Prayer based meditations are lovely for the energy that's your spiritual energy, that is your connection with the external world. But in my experience, again, I'm going to be sharing a lot more in the actual courses on the website. But in my experience, just a little bit of a takeaway that when there is body trauma, prayer based methods may not help. What helps the body is safety, safe touch. So, one of the things that helps is energy healing or therapeutic touch. However, it's important that the people you're working with are professionals and you have a professional boundary relationship, because otherwise, there can be too much of an energy exchange between them as a personality and you. So I don't recommend family members doing this for each other, because our children have trauma from us as parents, and that's okay. That's normal. I mean, literally, we are all going to be giving wounds to others and getting wounds from others. That's the human experience on this planet. So, I do suggest seeing a professional, and also to recognize the importance of what you're doing. This stuff is very real, it's very genuine. We do have a nervous system that has the capacity to self heal, but we need to be with somebody who understands that, who's objective, and can actually work with us at that level. Okay, so the importance of boundaries is something that's super important when you're doing energetic healing. You want to associate that person with happy feelings, with good feelings, and that's super important. Now, what about self healing, your own trauma? What can you do to actually heal? I mentioned meditative approaches, but I also highly recommend yoga for trauma. And yoga for trauma is about bringing in positive thoughts, enabling thoughts, peaceful thoughts while you're moving. Because when you go into that response of not feeling safe, and there could be a very real reason why you're not feeling safe, what it does is that it makes it super, super difficult for you to move. And movement is something that's super necessary for you to release the energy that's blocked in your body. So you're going to hear this term block and energy a lot whenever you take a mind body course. And what is energy? Energy is basically all the reactions, including your reactions, as in your hormone reactions, your emotional reactions, your sensations. So it's a very holistic word to tell you about it. And when you start to kind of develop your brain cells enough to kind of use that language effectively, you'll be able to talk about energy, you'll be able to feel energy, you'll be able to understand energy, because you will develop a detachment from your experience, which is probably not there when you're starting your journey. So that detachment is super important. So that's why we sort of want to go to somebody who can help us sort of, step away from our experience a little bit, and just to bring in that healing, compassionate, light, I'm okay energy for us so that we can step away from our trauma just a little bit. When we're holding trauma in the body, it's very hard to step away from the trauma. Like I said earlier, for energy healers, how we see things is that the body is in the mind. So if there is trauma in the body, there's trauma in the mind, and that mind is then controlling you. And so we want to go very slowly so that you get your power back and you're able to see that trauma and not allow it to control your life. You can find a center in that vortex of pain and suffering. Okay, so what else? I would say please post your comments on there, questions that you have, what you thought about this video. It's a longish video. It's about 25 minutes. I hope that it's helpful. Before I leave you, what I'd really love to do is to give you a warm, kind energy releasing technique. So here's what you do. Rub your palms together and separate them, and you're going to feel the soft ball of energy. And especially if you practice while you're watching me, and we're connected empathically, as many of you are on this board, you may actually feel the love and the empathy in this energy. And so, because right now I'm really connecting to that place of love and kindness in my heart, and I'm sharing my heart energy with you. So, let's do that for sure. Let's take it in through this camera, through this video. Because, in actual fact, we are completely connected at all times. We are energetically connected, our neurons are connected, our body cells are connected with the air that we breathe. So we are, if you really look at it holistically, we are one right now. So rubbing those palms together and bringing that sense of connection to something bigger than yourself in this community, to other members of this community, and just bring that love into your heart. Breathe in. Oh, I think Mimsy wants a bit of that. So let's hold little Mimsy and just feel that loving energy and bringing it into your being, into your body, into your soul, and spreading it all around you. Okay, now that part of your body that feels very tired, that feels, heavy, because heaviness is actually a sign of the held emotions and the blocks in the body. Just for me, it's my shoulders. Oh, that felt better. And rubbing your palms together and placing them around your throat. And just staying with that, just staying with that. If you can build your focus to just stay with that for a moment. Without, and of course your mind is going to say, oh, is this even going to work? And like we said, that's just because this is how your body has coped. And it's okay if it's got a judgment. It's coped with a certain way for a while. And we're kind of changing that. So we want to go a little bit slow. And we just sort of keep bringing in this loving energy through the body, through all the energy centers. And I'm going to rub my palms and place them over my lower belly, where, a lot of us are actually holding the stress from what we're going through right now. We're going through tremendous uncertainty. So let's bring that love to our body, supporting our body. Oh, and that may be a new concept for us, but let's do it anyway. Be that badass person and love yourself anyway. Oh. Okay, so imagine yourself surrounded in white light, just this beautiful white light. This is your safety and protection light. And make sure you have it all around you like a blanket, especially when you go out around people. Um, you know, when you're having any conversations on Facebook, on the phone, anywhere, just bringing in white light, just protecting yourself at this time from the more negative or harsher energies that we as a collective are facing right now. Okay, so I'm just going to tap my chime and release you with a little bit of experiential mind body healing. It's just a really tiny drop in the ocean of what's possible. And thank you so much. Just saying to your body, I love you no matter what. I love you because you matter to me. So I'm just going to stop here. Then I hope to see you continuing to participate in this group. Would love to stay in touch with each one of you. Bye now.